Guys, it's Dom here from the Creative Condition podcast. Just had a wonderful chat with Jamie Mahon, who helped me design the Soundsphere magazine print issues back in the day. We talked about his creative process, some of his goals as a photographer, what got him into his creative process, and what kind of how that developed. It was really cool just to catch up with him. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm really proud to know him. And hopefully, this gives you an insight into his artistic process and. Hopefully, it can help you if you want to get into photography or the creative scene in terms of how to do that and the hard graft that it takes. And I think that's one of the things that Jamie really champions is that hard graft and that work ethic that I think you'll get from him. So thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we'll catch you soon. Take it easy. So yeah, I'm starting off asking you to tell me. Obviously, off record, we talked about this a little bit, but what is it that you're doing now? Because I met you, and you were a photographer principally, but you also did graphic design. We met through Soundsphere, which I still do, among other jobs. But we were a print publication, and you were found for me, which was a joyful relationship. I've got a lot of good memories of that time in our lives, but. It's been a few years, man, and I'm sorry about that. What have you like? I say, where are you now? What are you doing? What can you tell me? What you're doing now? You sound like you're enjoying where you are. So give me a little bit of a background as to who you're working for and what projects you have going on right now.
I moved to the Midlands 4.5 years ago. Um, Commercial photography, retouching, products, stuff like that. Um, it's nothing. It's not like doing work for Nike or anything like that. But um, the the comment I actually got the other day for the industry that I mainly do the work for. Um, there's no competitor that has the same level of photography and retouching.
Right.
So it's like two levels of photography and retouching that I do now, which is like standard product stuff, and then it's like flat lay, which is what you position the camera overhead and it's looking down on the product, or it's more maybe what's the word? Probably more isometric. God, I hope that is the right word. Like we'll have the product and then there'll be props and stuff like that. So it's kind of lifestyle as well.
That's
Um,
cool.
so that's like the bread and butter.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff is like everything that you see more or less on my Instagram page, which,
Yeah.
which is the fantasy and the fetish stuff.
Yeah.
Which I always get embarrassed about the fetish stuff because it's like um
Why?
the
It's
aesthetic.
good.
No, because the thing is, you talk to people about it, and what it is, they're like, oh, that's kinky.
Right.
It's this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that.
Yeah.
And nobody actually knows that on the shoot, it is the least sexiest thing in the world. It's just like I've literally had, bless her, Lizzie, not the last shoot, but the one before. She had this cat suit on, this latex cat suit on, and sweat was literally just pouring out of the suit onto the backdrop roll. Yeah, it's not. It's a shoot is not sexy.
Right.
Um, the images look great at the end of it, but ultimately, at the end of the day, on the actual shoots, it's a lot of hard work.
Mm, mm. Yeah, you've always put a lot of work into it. I mean, how did you? Obviously, we've talked about this stuff on record years ago, but like, how did you get into it? For those people that don't know who you are yet, how did you get into that work, and what was the passion? What was it that drew you to that type of photography and that scene
Oh
when you
right.
started out?
Well, I did photography at university. I tried to do film and TV. I still, I'm still a walking internet movie database.
Yeah,
probably a little bit more out of practice than what I'd like to be. You know, I used to know like Best Boy Grip on the Untouchables and crap like that. Well, anyway, I ended up doing photography, and at that time, that was when I was kind of discovering myself, and the goth subculture and
Mm.
stuff like that. And because and I love fantasy art, and because the whole goth subculture, it can get entwined into the fetish subculture. It
Yes.
all kind of mixed together, as it were.
Yeah.
Um, and then what it is, you leave university, and you do odd jobs here and there. And I saved up to buy a camera and some cheap lights, and lost some money because I was a complete idiot. I'm buying some bad gear. And then I don't know. It's just you end up putting your images online, and back then it was Model Mayhem, which I think is still going, but I ain't bothered with it. I think it's now more Purple Pot. There was also DeviantArt. DeviantArt is still going, but it wasn't the it, at the time. Like we're talking 10, 15 years ago, it felt quite vibrant and everybody was
Mm.
engaging. And now when I go on there, I'm just a little bit like, I can't keep up with this.
Mm.
That could be middle age, but I can't keep up with it now. So you get images out there, and people just find you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I rarely approach people,
Yeah. Yeah. So your
and
reputation is positive as far as I was aware. You've got this reputation as a quality photographer, and you're good to work with. You know what I mean? And I think I don't know how you feel about hearing that, but that's how
no, but
certainly.
well, no, I love to hear that. That's what I do like to hear because ultimately, end of the day, um, to do a shoot, you're working on concepts or imagery or whatever, but also it ends up becoming a little bit of a social event.
Mm.
I've become friends with a lot of the people that I photograph. We have a lot of fun. If I'm not having fun on the shoot, it's absolute misery. And I've done two shoots where it wasn't fun.
Mm.
And the the thing is, you're joking, you're laughing in between shots and all this lot, and the people just want to keep, serious and blah 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 blah. Yeah, I can't be dealing with that
Yeah.
because I want to have fun. I want to have a laugh. You end up being really creative, and adrenaline gets pumping, and just bouncing ideas off one another, stuff like that. When people aren't engaging you, it becomes really static, and it becomes a different kind of hard work.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
beco- it becomes the kind of hard work where you're counting down to when you finish.
Yeah. Which
I,
is
I don't I don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a testament again to your work ethic. What would you say then to somebody who wants to work in the creative industries and wants to do photography, and also wants to have, because effectively you are working in the creative industries as part of your job, and also your photography, which sometimes pays, sometimes I know is a hobby. What would you say to any younger person getting into the industry now on how to break into the industry as you did, because you've done so many different jobs, you've worn different hats, you've been in lots of different environments. So tell me a little bit about that and what advice you would give to any young person who is inspired by the kind of work that you do.
Okay. The reality is for me, and it's strange enough, it reminds me of the talk that you invited me to do when we went to, what was it, Hull College,
Whole college, yeah.
and where I turned up half an hour late. um, the one of the students asked a question. Oh, well, how do you get in? What do you do? And we both said the same thing. It's you keep on going. You don't stop. You um, you don't create one piece of work, and if nobody gets it, you don't stop. You carry on.
Mm.
The thing is, a lot of people they fail at the first door because they're not willing to go beyond it or try a different door. You know,
Yeah,
wherever the hell that metaphor is supposed to be.
I get it.
It's just a case of keeping on going. The problem is now with algorithms, especially Instagram. Instagram's just turned into dog water for
Mm, mm,
photography. Because ever since TikTok has come along, there's now this whole push for reels, and I don't do video. I'll do like little video snippets like behind the scenes, but that's about it because I ain't got time for video on a shoot. I'm concentrating on my subject, on my lighting, on my concept. So the reality is that starting out, you have to keep on pushing. You have to wear many hats. You've got to be your own marketing manager. You've got to be your own social media manager, content creator, everything that can get you out there.
yeah.
But also, ultimately, at the end of the day, there has to be some talent behind it, though.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, you know, uh, you could just be like me. So, I literally struggled with things to begin with. Like trying like Photoshop, doing composites, everything. And the thing is, it was really difficult, and I couldn't figure things out. But I just kept on pushing and going for it and going for it to a point where now my techniques are pretty much bang on for what I need to do.
Yeah.
But it's all about developing, and you don't stop, and you can't stop.
Yeah.
God, isn't that a line from a Beastie Boys song?
I think it is.
Um,
It is, but
yeah,
that's cool. It works. Yeah. No,
yeah, yeah, it's amazing. The man who doesn't know music. There we go.
it's all right, man. Don't worry about it. I mean, that, talking about there, the struggle that you've been through, I've started to wonder about definitions of success quite a lot in recent interviews because different people define it in different ways. And I'd like to ask you what you define as success as a person and as a creative, and if they're one and the same thing. Like, do you feel like success? What does it mean to you?
Uh, that's a bit of an awkward thing for me to reply because I'm actually quite a modest man. I mean, bloody hell, I keep on forgetting I had a book published,
Yeah.
and people go, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" I'm like, "Is it?" Um,
That's the Yorkshire in you,
yeah,
man. That's the Yorkshire in
yeah,
you.
no, it seriously is. My dad was like years ago, "Oh, you're only as good as your last piece of work," and all that rubbish. Success, I don't know. Success is like, if you end up getting paid on a regular basis,
Mm.
right? So all right, being well known or popular, or somebody spots you. I mean, years ago, I went to this fetish sex. It was called Sexhibition. It was in
Yeah,
Manchester,
I think I remember. I think I remember. Hearing about it. Yeah.
and I'm a fairly low key guy, and then people found out I was there, and then they were like jumping all over me, going, "Oh my god, it's so amazing!" I'm like, "Okay, can I have my drink now?" Uh, no, I mean it's just like if notoriety is great, but I think there's no point in notoriety if you're not getting paid. Being successful means that you're getting paid, and you're getting paid what you're worth.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, end of the day, you've got to keep the walls from the door and a roof over your head. Right
Absolutely.
now, when I first started out, I would shoot, near enough anybody who fell into the concept of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
What it is, that's known as time for TF. It used to be time for TFCD, which was compact disc. Like that happens now. That's how old that's been going for. So it's
Yeah.
it's just time for. Um, I was getting notoriety and everything, but the reality is when I was at the old job and I was working 8 hours a day, and then I'm doing like 3 to 4 hours photoshopping on the night, and on a weekend I'm doing a shoot, and I might have a drink, so I have like maybe one day off.
Yeah, yeah,
As much as I enjoyed all of that, and it is an absolute joy to be creative and all this lot. The reality is, you start weighing up how much effort you put in, how much you dedicate it, and then you start looking at, well, what is the actual return here?
yeah.
Um,
I see. So, yeah. So you judge success from a financial perspective, effectively. It's about
I
being
see
paid.
it, I see success as more maybe not financial such, but like it's pragmatic,
Yeah,
right? The thing is, again, you could be completely and utterly successful and well known. You could have a million likes on Instagram, but if you're not getting paid for it, that's successful people are people who get paid
yeah, yeah,
because they have a skill set that is desired, that people are willing to pay for. That is what success is,
yeah,
right? It's not about, for me, it's not about fame, notoriety, or any of that crap. It
yeah,
is literally paying for my mortgage. It is keeping the roof over my head. It is basically, supporting my son.
yeah, yeah. I respect that, man. So do you feel that you have reached that definition then? Do you feel successful? Because it sounds like you're there, pretty much.
Yeah and no. um, about half an hour ago, I put a post on Instagram. I put it together in TikTok. It's a lot of my images and this song called "Whoa, Dude,"
Okay.
and it's a song that's about why it costs so much, why my work costs so much, and it is literally because it takes hours. It's took years to
Yeah,
develop,
yeah,
right? And if you've been doing it for so long and you get to a certain level, like I can have my own style, but I can adapt to others.
yeah,
I can try different things. I can do composites. I can do straightforward portraits. Everything. The reality is, I've got quite a wide ranging skill set, and so to me, if you come to me, I'm going to do the best job that I can. But I've lost count this past month of how many people have been in contact going, oh, I'd love to collaborate.
yeah,
Well, that's lovely and everything, but what you don't understand is I'm not starting out. I've been
yeah,
doing this. I've been doing this for years. I've got thousands of pounds worth of equipment
yeah,
that I literally bought just before lockdown happened. So yeah, it's just like I the collaboration requests I just don't do anymore. The only time I do it is if it's like somebody's got like an amazing outfit, something that I haven't seen before, and that's like on the high end stuff. That's where it's like it actually interests me. Everything else, right? I've shot before. I've done it before, right? It's still hard work to capture it, but it's I'm not learning anything new. It's not. Let's put it this way: it's no longer benefiting my portfolio. My portfolio is already established. It's benefiting the other person's portfolio.
yeah. That makes loads of sense. I mean, you've been working in this industry for years now. How have you changed and developed? How would you say you've changed, developed as a person from the beginning of your career? What are the key things that you've learned about yourself, rather than necessarily the industry, but about yourself as a person? What are the key things you've learned?
One thing that's definitely it was already there to begin with, but it's one thing that I've ended up really priding myself on over the years. is that when somebody hires me and comes through my door, right, it's a safe space. I've heard too many horror stories of models being touched, abused. Again, half an hour before we start this podcast, a model goes, "Oh my god, I want to work with you. What's your rates and all this lot?" And that was on Twitter, and then on her Instagram, I see this post that she's made, and she goes, "She was assaulted." Right, and the thing is, if you're a photographer and somebody's coming to you to work with you, they shouldn't have to be well. They shouldn't have to be abused, and it absolutely sickens me. Me now, the studio I've now got in my house, is for me a safe space. So going back to the original question, of how I've gone along is, yeah, I've developed more and more like rules on, how people, or should I say how I interact with people when they come here. The industry is going to be changing constantly. Trends change from one minute to the next. Um, Being able to adapt to those trends helps. The only problem you've got there is your work ends up looking like everybody else's. And every time I go on Instagram, everybody's work looks like everybody else's. So, and another thing that I've done is I've just basically stuck to my artistic, I hate to say it, vision, or should I say my artistic aesthetic of how I like things, how I edit things. Because again, it all looks the same, and you can make good money doing that, but it ends up for me. It just ended up being unfulfilling. It just ended up being, you know, depressing.
Yeah, yeah, and you were able to, again, you were able to sort of come into your own, so to speak, and have that confidence in your own ability, which has
Oh,
got you where you are. Yeah,
yeah, you. The thing is, you're always going to have moments of comparing and despairing, uh, and you have to find your own voice. You have to figure out, what your style is, and and I think that goes with anything within the creative industry.
yeah. Well, I mean, what would you say? You mentioned your artistic vision there, man. Like, and I'm curious to ask about that as well. Like, how has that vision changed? Because you mentioned how you had an idea when you first started, and it was very much like when people did shoots, you had the very clear vision about what you wanted to do. How has your artistic vision changed then, and what is it now versus
Well,
what it was?
well, early days it was just like, you'd have an idea and you'd work through it. And okay, speak to some clothing designers. Can I have this? Can I have that? Get a makeup artist involved. Maybe somebody who's specialised in something different. Um, and now I would say how things have changed is because, again, you develop over time. So you end up becoming more confident in what you're able to produce. So what happens is, early days, it was very conceptual. I'm really working to like, a specific image or two. That's it. Now I try to get more in if we can. So there's like, more variety and so forth. And excuse me. And so what you end up doing is you end up really working harder to get better results. And it's not just you, it's the people in the room with you, whether it be, the model, makeup artist, hairstylist, clothing designer, all them lot. It just again, if the more you have confidence in what you're able to do in camera with lighting and then in Photoshop, will inspire others to go along with you.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Like I say, again, you've sort of learned your craft, you've honed your craft over the years, and I do want to kind of, go back to how we met, and Soundsphere, because that was an important part of my life, because we were able to get funding to carry on. I probably wouldn't be doing the stuff I'm doing now. Obviously, I am doing other things as well, but like I'm still doing bits of Soundsphere, and I probably wouldn't be doing that if I hadn't met you and we hadn't done what we did. The magazine was integral to getting us funding to carry on. And giving me a cool way of living for a few years. And I think that you were an integral part of that. So how do you look back on? Because again, many years have passed since that. And the person you were and the person I was to a point. How do you look back on that period and how kind of the working process of Soundsphere, which I would probably describe as quite chaotic, because
Yeah, that's a bloody understatement.
well, because I'd only written stuff, and obviously I'd worked for magazines before, but as a writer. So then, like working on an actual issue and building the 3 issues that we did, which people can find, online. Um, how was that for you, man? Because I don't think we've talked about it over a beer probably, but like on record, like how was that for you? And you can say what you like, by the way.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not.
don't worry, I'll let rip.
Yeah,
Okay, well, the entire from my side of things, it was I'd got in contact with a recruitment company, Gloss Recruitment. Guy who ran it, Ian Rigby, said, "Hey, I know somebody, and where it is, they want a magazine designer. Can you submit, some pages, some designs?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, all right, yeah, no problem." And because I think it was me against a couple other guys
yeah,
or something,
yeah.
and I don't
Well,
know what. And yeah, well, we're now sat here talking about it, so obviously I got it. Um, and it was bloody hard because I'd done a couple of double page spreads before, but I never like designed a full magazine, and also worked on the entire brand identity. Like look, actually creating the logo.
yeah. It's still there.
Um,
It's still there, man. Yeah, it's still there in some form.
I cannot tell you how tricky that was to get right in Illustrator. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, man.
Um, yeah. Yeah, looking back at those times, it was chaotic and it was crazy. And I remember doing work on my main computer, and I just got myself a laptop, and Dropbox was a new thing.
Yeah, I
So
remember that.
literally were working on the evening during week, and then a weekend when I was seeing my girlfriend and my stepdaughter. I'm basically sat there with laptop working on it as well because it was all in the Dropbox,
Yeah,
and it was just like insane. And I remember, a couple of times you came over to work on it, and we were working until like 2 or 3 in the morning. I remember times when you were literally texting and calling me at 2 or 3 in the
yeah,
morning on
yeah.
Sunday
I'm
night, and
so sorry. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry that happened. I
yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah. Oh God, you were so dead if
I,
you'd been in that
I,
room with me.
I was talking to my partner about this earlier because I was saying how cool it was, that I hadn't caught up with you for years, and I was like, well, I'm kind of doing 2 things. I'm interviewing you, but this is also effectively a catch up.
Yeah,
And I was like, man, this guy could have killed me, like, because I used to be a very different. I mean, I've changed a lot. Like, I'm a qualified counselor now, and I've sort of, I understand about burnout and how much it can affect people. So I don't text anybody at 3 in the morning anymore.
yeah.
Um,
You back then you had no concept that people actually had jobs and
Yeah,
slept.
yeah, yeah, and I'm sorry about that because I think that it was that time where we had all the funding and stuff, and I was kind of it was my full-time gig for a while,
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, I just didn't. Yeah, and it's not like because obviously, and I think you know this. I'd like to think you know how much I appreciate it. Like I've got a lot of love and respect for you, and I hope you do know that. But like it was just like, oh cool, I need to do this. So Jamie, is going to be on my wavelength. But of course, you had other things going on. So I just, on record, do want to apologize
Well,
for that.
no, no, I had other things on, but yeah, texting and calling somebody at 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock in
Yeah,
the morning on Sunday night. No, mate.
yeah,
God
yeah.
no.
I know.
Um, no, it was quite the evolution because I look back at it now from like the first issue to like the third one, and the third one, the last one, is what I'm really proud of.
Yeah, man.
Because again, I never designed a magazine before or anything like that. It was all kind of like, okay, creating rules for the pages. So we had his hero pages, we had what I called the sidekick pages, where it was different, text formatting, having to create adverts, having to amend artwork from advertisers to fit in the space that we needed. I remember there was a picture. I think was it Paradise Lost.
Yeah,
I remember they're in a graveyard, and where it is because it was a double page spread over 2 pages, and there was one of the band members who was like further back and a lot shorter than the others. So to make it work, I had to cut him out and lift him up higher to make it work.
yeah,
And that yeah, it was basically figuring out problems, and then working on formatting, and it was just like, can you change this word? Can you do this here? Because otherwise it's going to knacker up the formatting and InDesign and all that stuff. So it was chaotic, it was fun, it was challenging, but we had a good laugh, I'd say.
yeah. Yeah, we did, man, and I'm really, I'm really grateful for that time, and just because when I look back at like, because we're not just a website, we were a print mag, and we did all this other stuff, and I think that like again, like working with you was unlike. That's why there was other designers there, and you were just my. We we it was like I was like you look cool, and then you were cool. You were just a good dude to hang out with, and I I've got a lot of love for that time, man. But I remember how stressful it was for you,
God, well,
working.
you remember it better than me, mate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think
Nah,
those memories are burned into, because of how stressful it was getting the advertisers and all that stuff,
well,
Um,
that was your problem. That had nothing to do with me. That's your problem, advertisers.
yeah,
No, my job was to basically make it look good,
yeah,
at best that I can. And I'm a bloody, you know, you're talking to a guy who isn't into music. I like music, but it's just like music isn't the overriding thing in my life. I'm not the guy who says, "Oh my god, I couldn't live without music." I probably could.
yeah,
Um, so I wasn't. They actually might have been a benefit. I was like that because what it is, I took the source material that was like written by you or others, and the image provided, and I had to, with those pages, create a narrative, almost like a visual narrative,
yeah,
um, to complement what was written.
yeah, yeah. And that
Yeah.
was it, and I think that, you know, I look back at that stuff, particularly the third and second issues, because we ended up. It was the original funding was to be like this goth mag, this mix between like nuts and bizarre as it was then, and that's what we did with the first one. But then we got more notoriety, so we started working with bigger bands, and it was much more colourful. And I remember loving, I remember we got called, or I got called the sellout, when we did the second issue, because we were dealing with like, bigger bands, and the magazine was colourful and it wasn't very goth.
Oh God! What? wasn't that when we met up at Leeds Met to photograph?
Asking
Oh,
Alexandria. Yeah, it was Asking Alexandria.
yeah, that. Oh God, you know when me and Martin dragged that bloody sofa, we scuffed the floor in the Leeds Met bar. There was
Yeah,
lines
yeah,
running.
yeah,
No, but the thing is, I mean, oh screw them! I called you a sellout, man. Look, at the end of the day, right? If the work you did, and you know, going back to the whole what is success, if the work that you did opened doors to getting interviews with big names and so forth, so goddamn be it.
yeah,
But I knew you. Yeah, you got access to maybe bigger bands, but in the same breath, you were still interviewing the smaller bands.
yeah, yeah,
You know, I don't. People who say stuff like that are knobs.
yeah, man. Yeah, it was a weird time, but I'm so grateful for it. Like I said, and I do want to uh, close out the interview portion of our catch up with a couple more questions, pertaining to you personally. How do you unwind? How do you relax? Is that because I remember as I knew you back then, like your hobby was the stuff you did. You were working in, you were retouching, and you were working with design as part of your day job, and then you would go home and you would photograph, or you would make, work in photography. So your hobby and your downtime was very centered around your work as well, or similar. Well, not direct.
Honest.
Yeah, yeah. So it still is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, what you're saying is okay. So you do a creative job, and then you do magazine. So what do you do to wind down? Oh well, I end up being still creative and retouching images because oh yeah, there was a bit of PlayStation and movies, but you know, but because back then, especially back then, I had that drive to be again, I'm not seeking fame and notoriety or anything like that, but I just wanted to create really cool images. I just wanted to just you know again just create imagery that people love and appreciate and so forth.
yeah,
Um, because the crazy thing is when people, especially my photography work, when people look at it and get in contact with go to me, oh my god, that's so amazing and all this lot, and I'm like, sounding like Carl Pilkington and going, all right. The reality is because I've lived with that imagery for I've done the photo shoot and then I've gone in Lightroom and we've culled and we've done cut basic correction and all this lot and then I've retouched every goddamn pixel because I know it's so intimate. Wherever the viewer sees, I don't see anymore. I just see, well, I should have fixed that there,
yeah,
or I should have
yeah,
done that a different way. I'm
yeah.
still happy with what I created, but I'm probably way too overcritical.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
understand that. Does it does it stress you out less as you've gotten older? Like, are you able to separate it, or is it worse now? Are you able to kind of switch that off, or do you still go to bed, or go home and you're like, oh man, I should have done this, should have done that, or is it something that you've been able to improve?
um, okay, well, I'd say this as I've gotten older, the skills have developed
Yeah,
because um, time to create an image has gotten a lot faster. So if I start work at 7 o'clock and I might finish at 9 or 10, sometimes 11, depending on what the image is. If it's just like shot against the background and simple portrait, it doesn't take me that long to finish. If it's like a fantasy composite, I do, that's going to take longer. But I try to get everything that I want to do done that evening, that night,
yeah.
because I don't want to be coming back to it.
No, no, no.
Because the thing is when you start coming back to it, you think, Right, okay, I need to carry on with this. It's only going to take half an hour. And the next thing I know, the next 2 hours have gone.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the trick is you can if you aim for perfection, you're going to drive yourself insane.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
you you literally are. What it is if you try for 85%, which is still high,
Yeah,
you're still going to get a lot of satisfaction. Oh god, it was a thing. Stanley Kubrick, and somebody asked him, what do you want to get on a day? And we all know Stanley Kubrick. He shot like 200 bloody takes of one scene. And he said, if I get 40% of what's in my head, I'm happy.
yeah, yeah,
That's the kind of rule that I've kind of gone with now over the years.
yeah. I like
If,
that.
if yeah, because yeah, perfection, it doesn't exist,
Yeah, yeah. I,
and B, it will drive you insane looking for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. That's a good, I think that's a good lesson to people in the creative industries. And thank you for putting your time, tonight into chatting to me, about some of your background and stuff like that. Yeah. So I guess, winding up, is there anything you'd like to plug? Where can people find you? What things are you working on at the moment that you can tell me that you want again to send people to direct people to?
Okay, well, I'll just start with projects that I'm working on at the moment. Because the whole point of my home studio now is about being a safe space.
Yeah.
What essentially what I found in my travels is there are portions of society who are changing, who are becoming something, and we're talking about transgender and so forth. And what it is, and this slides into the fetish side of things. And what it is, you know, they are changing, they're evolving,
Yes.
and so they will spend like hundreds, if not thousands, of pounds on outfits and so forth, and accessories, shall we, for lack of a better description, right? So for them to augment themselves to how they feel they are. But what
Yes.
it is, they never get any good photographs. They never get any like amazing images to show off what they are becoming, who they truly are.
Yeah.
And so I did a couple of weeks ago. I did a shoot with a transgender model, um, which was interesting on one part because I've never worked with anybody trans before,
Mm.
and I was completely and utterly scared
Okay.
that I would because I'm such a bloke. I was absolutely scared I was going to say the wrong pronoun or everything like that. And she was absolutely lovely, down to earth and all this lot. And we just ended up, I ended up just forgetting. I'm just going, all right, love, yeah, cheers, hon. Oh, thanks, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Okay. To some people that might seem a little bit too familiar and maybe crossing the line, but I'm just a normal Yorkshire lad. And so I've got more projects coming up which deals with people who are, for lack of a better description, are trying to express themselves
Mm.
as to who they are.
Yeah.
So this weekend coming, I've got another trans model coming in. That they are female to male,
Okay.
or something in between, or something completely different. I would have to speak to them about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually knew him years ago. We crossed paths. Um, you know, but I just try and accept people for who they are,
Yeah.
if I can. You know,
Yeah.
I've always said it. The hardest thing in life is trying to figure out who you are,
Yeah.
and we've got so many barriers within society, and especially now where we were like like over the past 20 years, more free thinking and more accepting, and now we seem to be the shift that's been going more to the right, inverted commas. Um, and I just think that people who are denied who they want to be, who they want to become,
Yeah.
right? I think that's a complete injustice. And again, right, I want people to be able to walk through that door, know that it's a safe space, they can be who they want to be, right? And I will do my bloody best to capture them
Mm-hmm.
as they see themselves in their mind's eye.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
That,
Amazing.
so they're more or less the projects that I'm kind of working on at the moment. There isn't like a grand, there's going to be like a great big, one-off book launch in 2 years' time. This is my grand project and
Yeah.
all that crap. No, it's just simply a case of I want to help people.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
I
love
just want to help.
I
There
love
you
that.
go.
I love that.
Right. So did I go off on one?
No, you were good, man.
Okay. All right. To find me, you can website, which is www.jamieman.com, and then everything else like Instagram and Twitter is Jamie Man Photo, all lowercase, all one word. There we go.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, Jamie, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you a bit to talk about your creative process, man, and just kind of reminisce about the sort of Soundsphere days, as we call them. Thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it.